President Trump, just a few minutes ago, the Supreme Court ruled that they are not going to slow down the sentencing. It's on for tomorrow. Now what?
Well, they called for an appeal, and as you know, they acknowledged what the judge said about no penalty, and there's no penalty. But we're going to appeal anyway, just psychologically, because frankly, it's a disgrace. It's a judge that shouldn't have been on the case. He's a highly conflicted judge, and they called for an appeal. So I read it, and I thought it was a fair decision, actually. So I'll do my little thing tomorrow. They can have fun with their political opponent. As you know, I'm under a gag order from a judge. This is the first. This was an attack of a political opponent. And if you take a look at it, I'm not supposed to be talking about it, so I won't. I'm the first president and probably one of the first candidates in history that's under attack with a gag order.
Look at Trump. I think he got a new like spray tan person, because he's looking a lot less orange to me. He's looking more like a natural tan. Y'all let me know. Is he looking too orange?
Moments ago, the Supreme Court denied Trump's application to halt a sentencing in that New York hush money case, which now will happen, the sentencing tomorrow.
When you get sentenced, you have an option to say something, right?
You just hit on what the biggest point is going to be to watch for tomorrow. Any defendant at sentencing absolutely has a right to speak. Almost always they do. So Trump might say, I have nothing to say, Your Honor, or he might give us
something. And they ought to find out what that's all about. And this is a long way from finished. Limping along, we've had a lot of lawfare. These are all people that understand what's going on here very badly. This was an attack on the Republican Party. This was an attack on the Republican candidate who just won an election by record numbers, the highest number of Republican votes by far ever gotten.
The judge should be disbarred. Holy cow, guys. Breaking news. The Supreme Court just denied Donald Trump's bid to halt sentencing in the New York City hush money case. This is the Scottish, guys. The Supreme Court of the United States has made a decision, and all hell could very well break loose as of tomorrow. Let's jump in. So, guys, what you're looking at here, the fire has spread. So we're seeing new fires coming out. This is breaking news. This is the Hollywood Hills, and this brush fire, or what was believed to just be a fire that was caused by Mother Nature. It is spreading in multiple parts of California here. We can see that this is a brush fire that is taking place in the Hollywood Hills, and it's raging. And at this point, there's a lot of serious questions that are coming out, like who or what is starting all these fires? Like, all of a sudden, it's not like it's a cascade of fires and it just continues to spread. We're seeing fires that are taking place in different parts. So it's not like, one fire started here and then it grew and grew and grew and became bigger. We're seeing these fires that are, these are anything but normal fires, is what I'm saying here. Ladies and gentlemen, the wildfires in California are raging, and we have brand new fires starting, and they're overtaking Hollywood as well as other parts of California beyond the Palisades. I'm going to be sharing with you guys the latest on this. This is breaking news, guys. In fact, we've got breaking news responses coming from the local officials. The Los Angeles mayor is under fire right now after firefighters have completely run out of water to be able to put the fires out. A lot of people are saying that, hey, this is California. Why aren't they just using the water that's in the Pacific Ocean? Others are saying that, this looks suspicious. Why is this happening? Insurance companies have canceled policies on homeowners, and all of a sudden these wildfires are taking place. What's really going on here, right? I mean, let me know down below, guys. Thank you for joining me on this live, by the way. Thanks for hitting the like button. Let me know down below in the comments, guys, where you're watching from, and if you think that maybe there's some suspicious activity taking place that's causing these wildfires. Because if you look at the timeline here, I mean, it's January. It is the first of the year. I mean, we're only 9 days into 2025, and it's wintertime. This is very peculiar. It's a very peculiar time of year, very unusual to have wildfires spreading right now.
We're at 302 Pico, and people are lighting fires now. You can see they lit a fire. These guys, not all the people there, but some of those guys lit that fire, and these guys they're actually, the trees caught fire, and then the palms are catching fire. So civilians are now lighting fires.
Oh my God. So now I'm wondering, like, okay, what about these other fires? What about the widespread fires in LA, Hollywood, the Palisades? Were these really wildfires that started naturally, or were there people, malicious people, starting these fires? I'll just put it to you. I'll just ask you that question. Was this natural? If you think that these were naturally, caused by Mother Nature, put a 1 in the comments. If you think that there's some suspicious, malicious activity, nefarious characters starting these fires, please put a 2 in the comments, guys. California is no stranger to wildfires, but for California to be experiencing these wildfires right now, it's really, really, it's a very unusual time of the year for this to happen. Can you believe this, guys? Like, this is crazy. They're not dropping this. They're not dropping this. This is an ongoing witch hunt against former President-elect Donald Trump, soon to be President Donald Trump. Is crazy. But this is just the beginning. In fact, tomorrow is going to be a real game changer. By the way, guys, if you're just now joining live, thank you so much for hitting the like button. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Drop a quick yes if you guys are able to see and hear me okay. I hope that this mic is connected. Had some issues earlier.
You know what's maybe ironic about it? Trump actually gets a benefit by being sentenced tomorrow, which is once that sentencing is over, as of tomorrow morning, then he can take his full appeals. He can go up the New York courts of appeals. He can go maybe to the U.S. Supreme Court and say the charge against me was unconstitutional, which I think it may be. He can say that the jury was not properly instructed. But if he had gotten his way, if he was not sentenced tomorrow, he would not have been able to appeal. That would have been it. So this sentence would have sort of died in netherworld.
Well, and part of their argument had been that it was going to be too tough for him
This
to
is
get
just
sentenced.
this is just so unfair, guys. Like, I mean, tell me if I'm off base. Does it just seem like this is entirely unfair? Like, I mean, I really, there's no way to know for sure. I don't have this is not Back to the Future. I'm not Michael J. Fox, where I could just hop in the DeLorean and go back in time to see, well, what would have happened if Trump never, ran for president? Would any of these charges have ever been brought against him? But this just seems entirely unfair. President-elect Donald Trump can be sentenced as early as tomorrow in his New York hush money trial. The case, the Supreme Court said in a 5-4 ruling. So, number one, this is a very close call. This wasn't some unanimous SCOTUS decision. 5-4. One of the judges was really able to make the defining moment here to put forth to deny this. To deny this here from the Supreme Court. Now, the High Court on Thursday rejected Donald Trump's emergency request in order to delay the proceedings, setting the stage for him to be sentenced just days before his inauguration on January 20th for a second term. Now, check this out, guys. Pay attention to these names. 4 conservative justices, Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Neil Gorsuch, and Brett Kavanaugh. They said that they would have granted Trump's request. Okay. Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Amy Coney Barrett joined the court's 3 liberals to side against Trump. Now, Judge Juan Merchan, the New York City judge who oversaw Trump's trial, had ordered sentencing in the case for Friday morning, but had signaled that Trump will face neither penalties nor prison time. Right. But here's the thing. This judge should never have even been on the case. This is already proven. So we need to get first of all, we need to get to the other side of this thing. We need to get to the other side of this thing because apparently he really can't even appeal until after the sentencing, which is a whole lot of dog and pony show stuff going on here. But check this out. In a brief, one paragraph statement, the court said that some of Trump's concerns could be handled in the ordinary course of appeal. The court also reasoned that the burden sentencing would impose on Trump's responsibilities and is relatively insubstantial in light of the court's stated intent to impose no penalty. Guys, this is a formality, but they're trying to drag this thing out here. And I think I think more than anything, Judge Juan Merchan wants his name in the history books. He wants to be remembered. Call it narcissism, call it what you want, but that's my thought on that one.
Moments ago, the Supreme Court denied Trump's application to halt a sentencing in that New York hush money case, which now will happen, the sentencing tomorrow. For reaction to this, Jonathan Turley, George Washington University law prof, and Charlie Hurt, Washington Times opinion editor, both Fox News contributors. Professor Turley, let's start with you. Look, the court doesn't like to intervene in what may be considered political matters. Your take on this, then I'll tell you what I think the court should have done.
Well, this is what some of us predicted when the appeals just began. Merchan really played this perfectly, and I say that not as a compliment.
I was going to say, because I took what he just said as a compliment to Juan Merchan.
He knew that he was giving President-elect Trump very little runway by which to take an appeal off. He also knew that appellate courts generally prefer for sentences to be finalized, to review the case as a whole. And he played those two cards to guarantee that he'll be able to sentence President Trump tomorrow. And when that occurs,
this is going to be crazy, guys. Yo, wait till tomorrow. Man, the live videos tomorrow are going to go wild in New York City. I'm telling you, watch.
In many ways, he's going to create the ultimate mandate for President Trump. He will have established with finality the effect of lawfare on our political system. So President Trump will go in, as many on the left want him to go in, as a convicted felon. But for many people in this country, he will also go in as someone who was the victim of lawfare. You know, this was the most outrageous of the cases. It was built on not a novel, but an unprecedented theory.
Guys, I mean, how many of you guys are pissed off about this, right? We got California wildfires just burning down the Palisades, Hollywood, and, the entire West Coast. And we have bigger fish to fry. And instead of Donald Trump being able to focus his team on preparing for the inauguration and coming into office as quickly as possible and hitting the ground running, we got to deal with this nonsense. Like this is nothing more than a distraction. And I think it's clear beyond the shadow of a doubt that they're panicking and that this is all by design.
One that even the Democratic senator from New Jersey recently called BS. I mean, said that it was completely invalid.
A Democratic
and that's
senator.
The mandate that he will give this president going into office.
How many of y'all think Judge Juan Merchan in New York should be disbarred and should lose his job? Let me know, guys.
We'll get to Charlie in just a second. When you look at this, though, one of the justifications for not granting the application for this stay was that it wasn't a real inconvenience to the presidency, because the judge had indicated there's not going to be a jail time. It'll be there, but it won't be really inhibiting his work as president.
This is so ridiculous.
4 justices disagreed with that, and the only one who didn't, who was one of the Republican nominees, is Amy Coney Barrett. Of course, John Roberts, the other one, but Amy Coney Barrett voted with the majority. So there were a core 4 who believed that this was significant enough to say, not pulling this nonsense.
But then again, it also makes you wonder. It's like, yeah, sure, there's the core 4 that voted against it, but what about the 5 that voted for it? Like, it brings into question the decision-making capacity of the Supreme Court, right? You got 5 people in the Supreme Court. Like, this is the highest court in the land where you're supposed to be able to, if you didn't get justice anywhere else, you should be able to get justice from the Supreme Court, right? And These folks shot down Donald Trump's request.
That's right. And the division on that court really does reflect how troubling the case is overall. That this trial level judge has done in Manhattan is to.
Okay, so I talked about this a little while ago. I said that this judge was not even qualified to be the judge. Judge Juan Merchan should never have presided over the case. And Jonathan Turley just called it out. He's a trial judge. He's not even the type of judge. He doesn't even have the title of the proper judge that should have presided over Donald Trump's illegitimate case from the get-go.
Hold a presidential candidate first, now a president-elect, to his courtroom on a short leash. This is the same judge that gagged the leading candidate for president in a campaign where his case was one of the issues of most concern with voters.
Keep in mind, guys, the gag order is originally designed to protect the defendant. They didn't protect the defendant. They protected the prosecution, DA Alvin Bragg. They stripped Donald Trump essentially of basically all of his legal rights, if you ask me.
It obviously is an equal concern among at least 4 justices.
Yeah, Charlie, look, on this case, I think it's such a travesty. It's one of those extraordinary cases where, allowing the process to go forward in normal course to the appellate. We have serious problems facing this country. President Trump doesn't need one more thing to deal with. That's my view. And I think those justices
That's exactly
saw
what I was
this
saying.
for what it was in the dissent. And unfortunately, there are 5 who, disagreed. But, look, I guess it was a close call, according to Professor Turley.
I mean, it was a close call, 5-4, but it doesn't mean it was a good call.
It's an important point, and certainly the point that I think every American, whether you voted for Donald Trump or not, if you're part of that 59-60% of Americans who are express to pollsters that they're hopeful that we can sort of move in a positive direction, they're like, wait a minute, we got all these problems. This is not anywhere in the list of problems that I have. And then, of course, in this particular case, as Professor Turley just pointed out, the real damage here was letting the case go forward in the first place. That's
Bingo. Thank you. Where has the logic been this whole time, right? And the bigger issue here is look at the traitor, Amy Coney Barrett, siding with the liberal SCOTUS and declining to halt Trump's sentencing in New York. Didn't Trump put Amy Coney Barrett in that position to even be on the Supreme Court? Like, come on. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. Like, I don't even understand how they came to this conclusion. Like, is anybody out here pissed? If you're pissed out here, please hit the 1. If you think that this was fair, please type in the number 2, because this don't make no sense, guys. Oh, wow. And this came from Donald Trump's this is not True Social. This is on X from Donald J. Trump. So I have never falsified business records. It is a fake, made up charge by a corrupt judge who is just doing the work of the Biden-Harris and Justice Department, an attack on their political opponent, me. He created a case where there was none. Keeps a gag order on me so that I can't talk about how crooked he is. The fake news knows all about it, but they refuse to talk. He may be the most conflicted judge in the New York history. The accountant testified with total corroboration, and the records were perfect and totally above board. A legal expense was called on the books a legal expense. There was nothing else that it could have been called. This was the so-called falsifying of records. Again, keep in mind, guys, this is Trump's post, okay? And he normally writes his own stuff here. He referred to himself here as me, so I'm pretty sure that he typed this up. And this was the so-called falsifying of records. I was hiding nothing. Everything was out in the open for all to see. Every legal scholar of note said that there is no case against me. And he circled this part. Well, someone did. The judge should be disbarred. This is why people and the I don't know what it's saying. Companies are fleeing New York, a corrupt court system. In another crooked New York case, another corrupt judge overturned 5 times on my case alone. And the most overturned judge in the New York, and the most overturned judge in New York, valued Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida at $18 million when it was worth 50 to 100 times that amount. Then we have also in New York, the woman I never met, celebrity photo lines from 30 years ago don't count, who was awarded almost $100 million. A totally out of control Trump-hating judge presided. The Biden-Harris DOJ was involved directly or indirectly in each of these cases. I won against deranged Jack Smith. Man, can you feel the heat off that message? Can you feel the heat? Like, Donald Trump went in on this one here, guys. He went in. President Trump asked the Supreme Court, SCOTUS, to halt the proceedings in the New York City hush money sentencing case. And I mean, guys, by the way, there's a winter storm coming in, hitting the southeast. I hope you guys are ready. I'm not sure where you guys are watching from. Let me know where you guys are watching from, and let me know if you're expecting snow. We are expecting snow here. I don't think it's going to get too crazy, but it's definitely in the teens in terms of temperature, and it is freezing out there. I hope you guys are keeping warm, but this is wild, guys. So this is going to happen in a matter of hours. I'm releasing this video. It is literally almost 2 a.m. And this is crazy, guys. This is nuts.
This is alert and some additional breaking news. Just moments ago, President-elect Trump's legal team filing an emergency petition to the Supreme Court, asking the justices to stop his sentencing on Friday in his New York criminal case by Judge Juan Merchan. A Trump spokesman says any sentencing would be unconstitutional and violates the will of the American people after they elected Trump.
Oh, wow. Check this out. So I appreciate the time and effort of the United States Supreme Court in trying to remedy the great injustice done to me by the highly conflicted acting justice. Acting, keyword acting. That sounds like a fake justice, right? Who should not have been allowed to try this case. Every legal scholar stated unequivocally, this is a case that should never have been brought. There was no case against me. In other words, I am innocent of all of the judge's made up fake charges. This was nothing other than weaponization of our justice system against a political opponent. It's called lawfare, and nothing like this has ever happened in the United States of America, and it should never be allowed to happen again. To this day, this highly political and corrupt judge has put a gag order on me, which takes away my First Amendment right to speak about very important aspects of this case. For the sake and sanctity of the presidency, I will be appealing this case, and I am confident that justice will prevail. The pathetic, dying remnants of the witch hunts against me will not distract us as we unite and make America great again. Now, I think at the end of the day, what really disturbs me is how much power they're granting this particular judge here, this Judge Juan Merchan. Like, he's a trial judge at the end of the day.
That he couldn't show up to the sentencing in New York. The justices made a point, the five who ruled that this could happen, and said that it was relatively insubstantial in light of what the court is saying that they're going to do, which is to impose that sentence of unconditional discharge. And it's a brief virtual hearing. He doesn't have to be there in person tomorrow.
So this was a smart move by Judge Merchan, because he said last week, I'm going to sentence you to essentially nothing, and you can do it by Zoom. If Merchan had not done that, if he just said, appear for sentencing Friday, it'll be like any other sentencing, you don't know what you're going to get until I tell you, that might have changed the Supreme Court's calculus, because Trump's argument was, I could be subject to what we call irreparable harm. And if Trump was able to say, I don't know, maybe this guy's going to try to lock me up. Maybe he's going to impose some serious penalty. Maybe I don't have the time as president-elect to travel to New York and sit in a courtroom and go through security. Instead, Merchan absolutely minimized that.
Okay, so he appears.
I almost feel like this guy's trying to give Judge Juan Merchan a pass. Like, well, you know, he didn't say he was going to send him to jail, you know, or he said he's not going to send him to jail. He said he's not going to hit him with penalties. Oh, thank you so much, Judge Juan Merchan. You know, like, come on. This is a fake case to begin with. Let's not try to give the Judge Juan Merchan like a pat on the back for lowering the slap on the wrist here. You know what I'm saying? Like, is everyone missing the ball here?
Virtually via, I'll call it Zoom. I don't even know what it is for the court system. When you get sentenced, you have an option to say something, right?
You just hit on what the biggest point is going to be to watch for tomorrow. Any defendant at sentencing absolutely has a right to speak. Almost always they do. So Trump might say, I have nothing to say, Your Honor. or he might give us a rant. I mean, I would bet on that because, look, he's got nothing to lose. He knows he's getting sentenced to nothing. So
even
watch
if he
that part.
speaks before the sentencing and goes off on the judge, which he does and did
Which he will.
tonight, that won't change how Mershon sentences
Well,
him?
Mershon left himself a tiny bit of wiggle room, right? He didn't say, I promise I will sentence you. He said, I intend to sentence you. But I think it would take an awfully lot to push Mershon from sentence you to unconditional discharge to lashing out with a sentence.
All right. So comment, let me know, guys. What do you think? Do you think if Trump were to go off on the judge during sentencing where he's allowed to actually speak, do you think when he actually speaks to Judge Juan Mershon on Friday, really in a couple of hours, do you think if Trump, Trump could literally rant because they just confirmed that Trump can speak. He can speak his piece during the sentencing. Number one, Trump's not scared. So now I'm wondering, like, all right, what's he going to say? Is he going to just say, okay, I have nothing to say, Judge, and walk out? Or is Trump going to let this trial judge have it right to his face? Look, dude, this is some bull schnapp. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then the question is, since Juan Mershon seems like, even though he said he's not going to sentence him to prison, he's not going to send him to jail or something like that, he's not going to hit him with fines. How much does that statement hold the judge to keeping his word? Can he change his mind at the last minute and be like, man, I don't like your attitude. You're going to jail. Just so that this trial judge can feel like he's got a lot more power than he's used to, sending the president of the United States to jail. I mean, this is New York City, guys. This is New York City. And it really wouldn't be the first time that something wild has happened to Trump in New York City. I mean, this case and the Letitia James case, the DA Alvin Bragg case, this is the DA Alvin Bragg case. I mean, I'm to a point where I don't think anything would shock me. I'm going to have to wake up extra early to keep track of what's going on here because I think it's going to have some unexpected twists on this one. Let's hear from Trump again.
About something, and they ought to find out what that's all about. And this is a long way from finished. And I respect the court's opinion. I think it was actually a very good opinion for us because you saw what they said. But they invited the appeal, and the appeal is on the bigger issue. So we'll see how it all works out. I think it's going to work out well. We beat Jack Smith. He's back, I hope, at The Hague, but I don't think he should be there either. He puts people in very bad positions, like giving people death penalties. I will tell you, Jack, he is a disgrace. We won all of those cases. We won most of the other cases, or they're limping along. We've had a lot of lawfare. These are all people that understand what's going on here very badly. This was an attack on the Republican Party. This was an attack on the Republican candidate who just won an election by record numbers, the highest number of Republican votes by far ever gotten. And we won all swing states, 7 swing states. We won the popular vote by millions of people. And that was the real vote. And I said it a long time ago, the real vote is that, and they tried to stop that from happening. They tried to stop this election from happening, or to bloody somebody up so badly they couldn't win.
Oh, yeah.
And the people got it. And again, we won by the largest number. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. It was conclusive. It was a massive, they say, the most consequential election in 129 years.
Wow.
And these people, the people know everything that you're asking. They've been studying this for 2 years as it went along.
Let's quickly jump into this one here, because what we're also seeing is not only are we seeing the wildfires, but if you look at this patch here, I want you guys to look at the patch down here. It's all black. And the reason why this is black is because these wildfires are actually causing a power outage, a blackout across the state of California in certain parts. They're burning down the power lines. Homes are being engulfed. And it's just pure chaos and madness. For those of you guys just joining in the live, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for hitting the like button and subscribing. You guys are amazing.
Structure fires, but then you see all these blackouts here. These are power outages, and I know we've heard from so many of you saying, I don't have power, whether you are in the valley, whether you are in the Hollywood Hills, so widespread outages tonight across the Southland.
And as we were watching that Studio City firefight,
Wow, widespread power outages are now taking place. This fire is so out of control, it is scary. And we're going to hear from multiple figures later on. We're going to see live footage. This is Los Angeles, guys, being destroyed. Some people are saying that, this is Mother Nature's way of cleansing the state of California for all the wokeness that has taken place. I'm not here to judge, but these are the things that I'm seeing in the comments here, guys. The fire is in my pants. What? Someone says, where's the fire? Well, where's the fire? The reason you don't see anything here is because there's the power infrastructure grid. The grid is down. And that's why you don't see any lights in certain areas. But yeah, Los Angeles fire in California, Palisades, the Hearst fire, Woodley fire. This thing is crazy, out of control.
We saw power poles sparking, which I suggested at the time meant that we would see blackouts in the area. So because I got to assume because of this firefight, we see some of these power outages. So although they're able to knock this fire down, although they were able to contain the damage to that street, the after effect of it also is some of these power outages in the area. And you look at this area.
Wow. And the power outages are massive, guys. Absolutely massive.
Her home in the Pacific Palisades after the and Rachel Darvish, who evacuated from her home in the Pacific Palisades after the fire spread to her backyard. And Rachel, thank you so much for joining us in what I imagine to be a truly traumatizing situation. Thankfully, you are safe in a hotel now, but tell us what happened and what you saw that led you to evacuate.
Understatement. What I saw was something that I don't think anyone ever dreams of seeing, even in their dreams, I think. It was just literally a perfect day in Pacific Palisades. We live in a dream community, which unfortunately doesn't exist, I think, anymore. My daughter went to her first day of preschool. After the break, everyone was excited. I came home, put on classical music, typical, I think, of Titanic. I put on classical music, tried to start working, and as soon as I started working, the notification came in saying there was a fire. And I can't even tell you how quickly I walked to the front of the house and saw that the fire had come to our gate. We live in a gated community there in the Palisades. And that was the moment I realized, surreal, it's real. And after being born and raised in the Palisades, having seen numerous evacuations, having been through earthquakes, fires, whatever you can say, we've been through it all. This was something I was never expecting. And I'm very happy to say I'm okay. But after what we've been through, I don't know why. I don't know why I have to be in a hotel room. I don't know why this had to happen to this extent, but we'll get to that at some point, I think.
Let's hear from Donald Trump on this one.
To go live to Capitol Hill.
In other words, we gave it to him
where
for
President
nothing,
Trump's
the most
speaking.
expensive structure ever built in the history of our country, relatively speaking. The most by far. We lost 38,000 people. They gave it to him for $1, and then they charge more for our ships. It's not going to happen. And China's running the Panama Canal. That's not going to happen either.
Mr. President, on California, Mr. President, during the pandemic, you often said that you didn't believe that you should bail out blue states that you believe were being mismanaged. Given your criticism of Governor Gavin Newsom, are you willing to work with him, and do you believe that federal aid should be provided to California for as long as it takes?
Well, it's very sad because I've been trying to get Gavin Newsom to allow water to come. You'd have tremendous water up there. They send it out to the Pacific.
Why is he sending the water to the Pacific? Does that make any sense? I mean, they have annual wildfires and they're wasting water, sending it to the ocean that already has plenty of water. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Does it make any sense to you guys?
Because they're trying to protect a tiny little fish which is in other areas, by the way, called the smelt. And for the sake of a smelt, they have no water. They had no water in the fire hydrants today in Los Angeles. It was a terrible thing. And we're going to get that done. It's going to finally be done. I got it done from the federal side, and he didn't want to sign it, but it's not going to happen again like that. There's no reason. Can you imagine? You have farmers that don't have any water in California. They have plenty of water. They don't have a drought. They send it out to the Pacific, and it's crazy. So,
well, at least President-elect Trump, don't want to get anybody in a tizzy here. At least President Trump hasn't turned his back on California, in spite of the fact that Governor Gavin Newsom has ignored Trump's suggestions and warnings in the past.
What's happening in California is a true tragedy. I know those areas very well. I have many friends living in those houses. That is a true tragedy. Nobody ever thought. I mean, virtually Beverly Hills and areas around Beverly Hills are being decimated. The biggest homes, some of the most valuable homes in the world are just destroyed. I don't even know. You talk about a tax base. If those people leave, you're going to lose half your tax base of California.
Think about that for a second. What Donald Trump just said about some of the largest, most beautiful, most valuable homes being destroyed. Never mind the fact that, okay, maybe there's some evil people in there that just so happen to be, wealthy, have billions of dollars. Never mind all that for a second, okay? What I'm saying is there are people fleeing the state of California. I don't want to minimize this. There are thousands of people fleeing the state. They're evacuating the state of California, okay? And it's not just they're evacuating the Hollywood Hills, California area or the Palisades because of the fires. California has had a net negative population for the last several years. And these fires are burning down some of the most expensive homes here in the state of California. Some of the most expensive. Now, I'm not talking about the Kim Kardashians. Well, actually, yes, I am actually talking about the Kim Kardashians of the world, even though Kim Kardashian happens to live in, I think, Calabasas or something like that, which is, I think, further north, if I'm not mistaken. But Kim's home is okay. But what I'm saying is these are some of the largest, most valuable homes in the state of California, bringing in a tremendous amount of tax revenue from property taxes for the state of California. And Lord knows California needs it the way that, the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, is spending the money. I mean, $2 billion blown for homeless relief. And yet there's all sorts of homeless people still in the streets, in the beaches, in the parks. And they don't even know how much the $2 billion helped. Like, they didn't even track the spend. So you're burning down the homes that are being burned down are some of the most valuable homes. So that's tax revenue that's not coming in from property taxes. Some of these homes, they'll have $50,000, $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 annual property tax bills. Just let that sink in for a second, right? And so if these homes are gone, if those people move out of the state of California, this is tax revenue that's never coming back, okay? Let's not talk about the income tax that the state bills everyone who generates income in the state of California. So if these very wealthy people stop paying, California could be bankrupt before you know it.
This is a true tragedy, and it's a mistake of the governor, and you could say the administration. They don't have any water. They didn't have water in the fire hydrants. They don't have water. And yet they have, the water comes from, you know where? Up north. And it comes down at levels, they give millions and millions of barrels of gallons of water that they have, and they send it out into the Pacific. For the Pacific, it's like a drop, it's nothing. But for California, it would take care of the whole state. So what's happened is a tragedy, and the governor has not done a good job. With that being said, I got along well with him when he was governor. We worked together very well, and we would work together. I guess it looks like we're going to be the one having to rebuild it.
Now, some people are going to call this out and say, hey, look at Trump playing politics. In the middle of a tragedy, in the middle of a crisis, the fires are burning, they're ablaze, and Trump's over here playing the political game, highlighting Gavin Newsom's shortcomings and what he should have done. I mean, is it wrong to identify a problem? Or should the problem be ignored? We just try to address it and not even talk about it. I mean, I don't know. You guys let me know. But it does sound like Trump is willing to do whatever it takes to get California back on its feet, provide whatever support is required. Let me know, guys.
But what happened there, I don't think there's anything that I've ever seen quite like it. And the insurance companies are going to have a big problem because you're talking about...
Didn't State Farm or Allstate or one of these big companies pull out of California, cancel a whole bunch of insurance policies? Let me know which one it was, because I don't really remember off the top of my head.
Big dollars.
Biden fired Liz Cheney. What's your message for President Biden? He said he
Oh, I thought it was ridiculous that he did that, but we have more important things to talk about. Liz Cheney was, she lost in the Republican Party, as you know, in her state, by the biggest margin in the history of a politician running for Congress. She lost by like 42 points. Nobody's ever lost like that. So I don't care about Liz Cheney. I care about these people.
President Trump, what does day one going to look like in the Trump administration?
Number one, we're closing the border. It's going to be closed very strongly, and it's going to be closed. And we're going to have to take people out that are criminals. We have people from jails from all over the world and from mental institutions. And as you know, they're going to have to be removed. And it's one of the reasons I won the election in a landslide. The people of this country don't want murderers walking down their farms or their streets or their cities. As you know, we had thousands of people that murdered other people that were in jail that were released into our country. Many of those people murdered more than one person, many of them, about 42% supposedly. We want them out of our country, and we're going to get a country back again, and we're going to be really governed by common sense. These are the principles of common sense. We're not going to be governed by stupid people. We're going to common sense.
Wow, guys. Wow. So there you have it. Donald Trump is definitely on board with doing whatever it takes to get our borders closed, to get these horrible criminals out of the country who are here illegally. So that is definitely a plus. But in the meantime, we did hear from Governor Gavin Newsom, who wasn't happy about Trump's response, calling him out regarding his response to the wildfires. And basically, let me just let you hear from Gavin Newsom, because he wasn't happy about it.
No one here is playing politics. We have an American president and Joe Biden that recognizes his responsibility in times of emergency. When Americans are in need, he steps up, he steps in. Not qualified by a particular request or an expectation. My message to the incoming administration, and I'm not here to play any politics, is please don't play any politics. There's a time and place for that.
Wow. So you got pretty boy Gavin Newsom, Nancy Pelosi's nephew, basically taking jabs at, it seems like he's taking jabs at Trump here. He didn't say Trump's name, but it certainly fits the bill. If you guys think Gavin Newsom's talking about somebody else, let me know. If you think that Gavin Newsom is talking about Trump, let me know in the comments. If you think it's Trump, put a 1. If you think it's someone else, put a 2. But I think it's interesting how instead of talking about the problem, instead of working on the problem, instead of explaining, what are they going to do immediately and what are they going to do in the long term to prevent this from happening, you got pretty boy Governor Gavin Newsom taking jabs at someone. And I think that this just stands to prove how misaligned his objectives are with regard to the state of California. People don't want to hear about that. They want to hear about, how are you going to fix this problem? Are you going to fly? Are you going to get like helicopters and airplanes flying water in? What's up with all the water that's in these pools of these mega mansions and properties all around this fire that's taking place? Some of these pools are like 50, 100,000 gallon pools in people's backyards. use that water to put the fire out, right? Let me know if I'm making sense, guys. I don't understand what some of these people are thinking. So here we got President Trump pinned the blame for this apocalyptic wildfire tearing through Los Angeles County on California Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom. And I mean, it's hard not to blame him. It really is hard not to blame him. But what's also interesting is it's not just Governor Gavin Newsom's fault. No, actually, Governor Gavin Newsom was accompanied by the mayor of Los Angeles, who also dropped the ball. In fact, the mayor had actually gotten caught kind of like midway on the airplane coming back from, I think she was in Ghana. And it was really probably one of the worst times you could actually take a trip while your city's burning down, literally, not figuratively. Your city is burning down while you're on some vacation trip or whatever in some other country. But I want you guys to peep her reaction to the folks that are asking her all about this whole tragedy that's taking place. And I mean, think about the homes and the businesses that are being engulfed in this completely out of control, raging wildfire.
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today? Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today?
Is she just going to stand there and look like she don't even hear anybody, see no evil, hear no evil? I mean, like, and it looks like she's standing right at the connector between like the gate of the airplane and that little connecting hallway that gets you to the airplane. Like, she's just stuck right there. It's kind of like the part where sometimes they ask you to check your bags or check your carry-on bag, like right here. She's like hovering over the tarmac, and she's ignoring these reporters.
Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens?
Guys, this is the mayor of Los Angeles. This is the LA mayor, Karen Bass. Isn't it odd that her name is Karen? I know. So anyway, LA mayor, Karen Bass, clearly not willing to answer any questions and pretty much just, pulls a Mitch McConnell freeze moment when these reporters are asking her if she, has any kind of, second thoughts on cutting the fire department's budget by like $20 million. And of course, her timely trip to Africa during this devastating wildfire was just like the worst timing in the world.
Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster?
What is she doing?
Apology for them.
Is she trying to get out the door?
You should have been visiting Ghana while this was unfolding back home.
Yep. She's pretty short. She's like my grandmother's height.
Let me ask you just again, have you anything to say to the citizens today as you return?
No. Ma'am, hold on 1 second.
That's a restricted area, woman.
Madam Mayor, just a few words for the citizens today as you return to deal with the catastrophe.
Can you take this down?
I guess it's not restricted for the mayor. She's like, I own this town.
David, as you say, she wasn't very keen to answer any of your questions there. And fire chiefs are also admitting that they just don't have enough personnel to take out the fires.
It's not even the personnel that is lacking. They have firefighters. Okay, now clearly, more firefighters would be better, but they don't have any water. They're freaking out of water, guys. How do you run out of freaking water? You got farmers who need water. They're out of water. I mean, so this is such a cascade of events that's just horrible, guys. Running out of water. I mean, so that means that, does that mean that, you can't flush your toilets? That means people can't take showers, people can't cook. I mean, most cooks are going to need some water to cook, right? Think about all the businesses that are going to fail to be able to serve their customers, restaurants. There's going to be a lot of people who may not be able to go to work because if a restaurant doesn't have any water, then good luck being able to fulfill client or customer requests. Good luck cooking without water. Good luck washing dishes. I mean, water is such a critical resource. This is a major problem. This is a catastrophic F up. And all Gavin Newsom can say is that, we shouldn't be playing politics. I mean, look at this. Look at this, guys. You got patients being evacuated from hospitals. Just complete failure. Complete failure, guys. You can't make this stuff up. You really can't make this stuff up. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, guys. By the way, I'm working on growing our X community. So join me over in our Twitter community or our X community. I'll leave a link for you guys in the description down below. I'd love to have you guys over there. Let me know what you guys think. There is absolutely more of this story to come. I will continue to bring you guys breaking news and the clips that you want to see and everything that is going on, detail by detail. And I guarantee some heads are going to roll. Let me know whose head you think needs to roll first. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for hitting the like button. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel, and we will see you on the next one.